and right up to the Maginot Line till we met up with the French. Well, we were there for quite some time, and we were digging in there and having taken our turns at the Maginot Line, where of course we experienced our first box barrage from the Germans, and the happy event of that was the issue of the old rum that used to come round, but we did have one very bad experience there. We lost one little section of troops which caught up with one of these box barrages, and we lost, I think there was about 5 or 6 of them that was taken prisoner, or more than that I think, and one was dead in the bottom of the trench, and he was laying on top of another chap which happened to get away. It was only the one, he was only the one that got away from it. And there was one SS German troop that was laying out there. That was our first experience of the war. And then of course we went back to the Belgian border again. The Belgians of course wouldn't let us use their border, not until the Germans attacked. But anyway, when he did attack, we met the Germans in Brussels with our little 303s that they used in the 1914 war. And of course the Germans had Tommy guns and 5-barrel mortars and Stukas and everything they could throw at us. And of course what with the field guns and everything else, we never had a hope. All we could do was start back on a retreat, moving back gradually and building up, trying to dig in, but the advance of the Germans was that fast that they never had a chance to even to lift a blade of grass. Anyway, we got in touch with our seniors, and they directed us and told us that we should make for Calais, and then of course we had to go from Calais we had to go to Dieppe, and the word that the Dieppe was taken, and of course eventually it was Dunkirk. On our way through, of course, we had quite a lot of experience of being bombed in a place called Caen. We lost quite a lot of lads there, and also our vehicles. We went into the cellar of one house, and after the shelling we couldn't get out of it for rubble on the top. We had to scrape our way out. It was quite a beating we had from the Germans, I must admit. But anyway, when we got to Dunkirk, they dropped everything on us. There was shelling, and we took up our position. Of course, I was infantry at the time, in the Cornwalls regiment. We had took up our position all around the outside of Dunkirk, and we took shelling there for about 3 or 4 days. I think about on the 4th day, of course, it eased up a bit. But Dunkirk, all the shells, 3 of them whistling over to Dunkirk and causing havoc there, knowing that we had to go there to get out or to get home. Eventually, of course, we was ordered to make a move into Dunkirk. We had one vehicle left, and we all loaded up in this one vehicle and moved into Dunkirk, where we came across nothing but wire and all this debris about from damaged buildings, and eventually, of course, we had to run through shell fire road blocks where the Germans was picking out all different sort of spots where they'd stop us from getting through, and we had to just run a gauntlet on that score. We had to go through, stand there and wait for 1 or 2 to go, and then say, well, on the next one I'm going, and this was it. We all made our way that way. Everybody was for himself. We had to make our way to the beach. Eventually we got to the beach, and of course the shelling then was deadened a bit by the sand. It wasn't bad there. But we got there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the only boat that was laying out there was an old paddle steamer, which in the end, of course, a lot of them was drowning trying to get to it. It was well out in the sea there because of the sand bank. They had a big sand bank there. as I was swimming with my trousers on and braces kept on going over my arms. A swimmer went past me. I think he must have been an ex-channel swimmer. He told me that if I held my breath and went down, I could feel the sandbank. He said, and there are places where you can get a breather, because by this time I was really screaming for help. And anyway, I got a second breath and managed to get to the boat, where they had a revolver pointed at me, and they said, can't get up anywhere here. He said, you have to get round the back of the boat up where the paddle is. So anyway, when I got to the paddle, the only way I could get up there was borrow a couple of porpoises, I think. I couldn't get up there, but I screamed out for somebody to throw me a piece of rope, and there was some old matlow up there. He got a bit of rope. It was a bit of string, I think, and where I got the strength from, I don't know. I went up that piece of rope and he pulled me in like a mackerel, and I went down. They dragged me into some room and gave me a hot drink of coffee and stripped me off, and somebody gave me a piece of some women's knickers that he had looted. That's all I had to put on, and this old matlow gave me a coat and took me down to the boiler room to stop me shivering. Well, shivering, I was shaking, and anyway, from there on the sun turned out. We had the shells still dropping around us, and I couldn't have cared then whether they hit us or not, and people were screaming out for anybody got any rounds of ammunition. They had one Bren gun up there firing away, and of course eventually we got to Margate, and everything was so okay then. They gave us a shower and fed us and dressed us up with what they had there, and got on a train and went out to some place in some Royal Artillery, I think, the place we landed at. And I think I slept for all day and all night and half the next day until they started to bake us and give us a good meal. Everybody was allowed to have helpings or everything. We went okay there. We tried to round up all our troops to see who was missing, but that was an absolutely helpless case.